Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Rain, where we are drinking our coffee, wearing our skull t-shirts, and having a heck of a good September. We are working right along in a spooky season, and as of the early part of September, approximately, we have worked our way out of the 90s and have been pretty consistent with keeping it to the 80s. Now, I know that's not super impressive, but for Alabama, that's just a good thing because that means the heat broke-ish, and I can actually start opening my doors or windows and letting some sort of breeze blow through. Now, yeah, it's still the 80s, but that's better than the 90s and better than the 100s, which we were having pretty consistently in July and August. So this is a break. I actually was teasing one of my D&D guys. He went to Dollywood in August. And I was like, man, was that hot? And he's like, I'm from Florida. And I was like, and he used to work at Disney World, where he and his wife both used to wear the costumes in like various situations. And yeah, so I'm fairly certain he has suffered through more significant heat than I have. However, it was still not fun. So, but I just was teasing him a little bit because I knew his experiences, but I still know that Tennessee in August is not the super greatest time to be had if you're not used to it. However, we are not diving into all that. We still don't have any rain right now, although I think this evening we are looking at possibly having a little rain, hopefully tomorrow. I guess I could have saved my recording for tomorrow, but we're here, we're doing it today. And we're talking about The 13th Child by Erin A. Craig. Now, this was a book that I was super excited to get because I got her book, House of Root and Ruin, as well as her other book. It was like a duology, I believe it was. And then, let me look real quick. I want to make sure I give her credit for the books that she's done because they were very well done. And I had a really good time reading the other two books because it was, The House of Salt and Sea and Salt and Sorrow. And that was the first book. And then the second book was The House of Roots and Ruin. And so this one, though not part of that series, kind of still gives a very similar dark fairy tale vibe. And that's what I really enjoy about her writing, is that we still kind of get that dark fairy tale vibe, and her writing is really well done. I like how she depicts scenes. I like that some of it's a little bit gritty. And there's kind of layers of both like emotion, sorrow. There's painful moments, there's happier moments. But the thing is a lot of times her main characters do suffer a lot. It's sad, but I don't know. Sometimes it works out well for them. So just kind of leaving it on that note, because we haven't dove into this book yet for me to tell you about it. I am going to read you a little bit of the summary just so you guys can kind of get a little nugget of what's coming at you. I will say I gave this book 5 stars, or I will be giving this book 5 stars. It's a little far out from the time I'm recording this to the time that I'm going to leave my review on Goodreads, just simply because I try to leave it a little bit closer to the publication date, and the publication date of this book is September 24th of 2024. So, this is the story of Hazel, a young healer navigating a ruthless court to save the life of the king, grappling with a pantheon of gods with questionable agendas as she fights for agency and true love in her own life as a goddaughter of none other than Death himself. All gifts come with a price. Hazel Trepas, I hope I say that right, Trepas, has always known she wasn't like the rest of her siblings, a 13th child, promised a way to one of the gods. She spends her childhood waiting for her godfather Merrick, the dreaded end, to arrive. When he does, he lays out exactly how he's planned Hazel's future. She will become a great healer, Known throughout the kingdom for her precision and skill, to aid in her endeavors, Merrick blesses Hazel with a gift, the ability to instantly deduce the exact cure needed to treat the sick. But all gifts come with a price. Hazel can see when death has claimed a patient, when all hope is gone, and the task is to end their suffering permanently. Haunted by the ghosts of those she's killed, Hazel longs to run, but destiny brings her to the royal court, where she meets Leo, a rakish prince with a disdain for everything and everyone. And it's where Hazel faces her biggest dilemma yet, to save the life of a king marked to die. Hazel knows what she is meant to do and knows what her heart is urging her towards, but what will happen if she goes against the will of death? So, we're going to pause there, or we're going to stop there, because even though there's like one more sentence at the bottom, we're going to leave that off because it's a little bit more about just Erin A. Craig. Now, this one is considered a retelling, and I kind of wish I knew which retelling it was, like which story it was about. I don't know the retelling it's related to, so let me see. I'm scrolling down on Goodreads to see, because I didn't actually look. This time she's retold the Brothers Grimm's dark and sinister fairy tale Godfather Death, okay? Revolving around young healer Hazel Trepas. She's the 13th child of her family, left behind in poverty, neglect, and emotional abuse, until her godfather, dreaded end himself, Merrick, returns to reveal his unique gift. Well, that's what we read. So, and we will thank Nilufer Osmekic. Anyway, it's pretty much the second comment, the second review under Erin Craig herself. So they really loved it. They also gave it 5 stars, and rightly so too. I didn't realize, I knew it was listed as a retelling, I just didn't know which one, because again, I don't often read summaries and I don't often read reviews before I dive into a book. I will tell you, I read this book so fast. It is like 400 plus pages, and I still read it in like a day and a half. I had a hard time putting it down. It was very, very fast paced, where for what I would say was the first 3/4 of the book. I will say the last part, for me, I just wish had spun slightly differently. But that was my preference. Still give it 5 stars. Still completely happy with it. Still loved it. And I can absolutely see that Goodreads really, really likes it as well so far. So I think this book is going to do a really good job. I'm crossing fingers that Erin A. Craig gets the kudos she deserves for this book. So Hazel starts out, and literally she is born. She already has 12 siblings. And apparently, her parents don't know what causes pregnancy. That's all I could really imagine, is that her parents are just completely in the dark about what causes this, because now they have 13 children. And it's like they love the first 12, like they love each and every one of the first 12, and each of the other 12, they get birthday cakes and they get taken out, and they don't have to do as many chores. But then Hazel comes along, and Hazel doesn't really get birthday cakes, and Hazel doesn't even get like remembered half the time, and she just sleeps out in the barn because she just gets whatever's left over, if there's anything left over. And it's really sad. But pretty much on the night of pretty much one night, when they kind of realize that, I guess, Hazel's there, or Hazel's coming, the different gods come into the room of her parents, and they say, okay, let me have this child. And they deny the first god, they deny the second god, but then the dreaded end comes, and he's pretty much considered death the dreaded end, the end we all dread. And they make a deal with him, and they say, okay, yeah, you can have her when she is, like, you know, she will be yours. Like, she doesn't belong to us, she'll belong to you, so you have to take care of her. So when she's, like, born, he pretty much comes, he gives her a blanket, and then she stays with her family for the first couple years of her life. And it's really sad because her family does not, like, other than her siblings, and a couple of her siblings do actually kind of, like, acknowledge her, her parents just, like, they are completely apathetic to the fact that she's there. They're almost, like, they would rather her sleep in the barn, or they would rather give her to the local temple than have to feed her one more day, even though they're barely feeding her as it is. And so that's just how this book starts. Is this girl is absolutely not wanted by her like her parents especially. And so she grows up in this situation, and in this very emotionally abusive situation where only her siblings even seem to recognize that she kind of exists. And it's really only kind of one brother, and then he's the one who gets taken by the temple and gets kind of made an acolyte. And after that, she's kind of more or less on her own, just left abandoned to do all the chores and do whatever her parents say. But then the other older kids start to kind of go out into the world, pretty much abandoning the house and going out into the world. And then one day, Death comes along, and he's like, okay, I'm ready for you. And Hazel is so upset. She is, like, so mad because she has been waiting her whole life. Because, of course, her parents have told her that, like, you know, you don't even belong to us. You belong to Death. He should just come get you. Like, I don't even know why he's abandoned you with us. Like, why doesn't he just come get you? Ugh, my hair. Sorry. So they pretty much are... Like, my hair, sorry, it's acting up. But they're just rubbing it in that they don't want her there. And so she would just rather be anywhere else. She's planned to run away. She wants to leave. She will rather go anywhere else rather than to stay in that house one more, like, second. Because she doesn't have anybody who loves her. She doesn't feel as though she is doing any good to anybody. She's definitely not doing any good to her. And then finally, her grandfather shows up, or her godfather shows up. And she's mad. She is really, really mad because she felt like he abandoned her. So he takes her to the in-between, which is the in-between world between life and death. And he said, okay, you're going to become a great healer, so I want you to read these books. Here's you a beautiful little cottage. And so as she's there in the cottage, he abandons her for pretty much a full solid year. And that was something that was so frustrating to me, but also so frustrating to Hazel as well. Because not only has she been pretty much abandoned her entire life by her family, she's now supposedly, like, been brought into the home and, like, the life of, like, her godfather, who's supposed to, like, take care of her. He's now left again for, like, a solid year, and without any conversation, without any communication of what's going on. And she's like 12 or 13. She's very young. And so when he comes back on her next birthday, because, like, he left her on her birthday. He picked her up. He's like, okay, happy birthday. He gives her a cake. And I don't want it to sound like he's being cold. You do have to understand he's Death. He's immortal. He doesn't understand humanity very well. So when she breaks down into just tears, just absolutely crumbles because she has pretty much been isolated and alone without any sort of companionship for this past year, and no communication, no ability to reach him, something finally clicks with him that she needs companionship in some way, because she has been alone her whole life. And that's when the story really starts. We do start to see that companionship between her and her godfather. And that's just a very small nugget of the story. But that, like, there's so many moments within the story that are, like, they're what I would think is powerful. Because I think it is important to kind of recognize even young people's emotions, because nobody was recognizing the suffering she was going through. And I don't know if it was because she was a child, but she was suffering significantly until she was able to vocalize that, because nobody was paying attention. But happily, she had the mental fortitude and the emotional bandwidth to be able to tell him that what she needed was actually just him to be present. And so he takes her to a village to actually become a medicine woman, to become a healer, to be able to actually start helping this village and its local population heal. And she becomes well known for her healing abilities until one day the local kingdom comes to call. And I'm going to leave it at that because so much happens from there. And I've only really told you like the first fourth of the book. But so much happens, especially when she gets to the castle. It just snowballs. And I don't know why she doesn't leave. I kind of think I would have tried to leave. I feel as though, yeah, maybe you want to be a well-known healer and like whatever, but my gosh, again, I think I would have just had to leave. But anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, for liking and subscribing, for sticking around to this channel, and for listening to me ramble about books. I love books. I think they're amazing. I hope you do too, because that's what this channel is all about. But until next time, I hope I will see you in the future. And, well, I guess I don't get to see you guys as much as you guys get to see me. So, I hope you guys will see me in the future. I know that sounds a little narcissistic, but I do hope you will come back and find out what other books we're reading in the future. And until next time, I'll see you on the next page. Thanks so much. Bye.